What's up, everybody? Welcome to Hard Drive 32. It is Monday of a whole new week. Means it is a day full of art. And this channel, as always, is dedicated to 32-bit games, both new and old, the creating and playing of them. I'm your host, Alex Wolkin. And I just ate breakfast before I started streaming. I'm like a few minutes late because I just was so hungry. I was just furiously stuffing my face. But yeah, great to have a little morning art stream here. Last where we left off was working on the main character for a game called, project named Aspire, which would be a survival horror, and it's going to be probably my first project that I work on. And so I'm going to do up some early concept art for the character. And one thing I've got to work on, I've been noticing, is that when I'm doing this stream, I'm so slow on my art. I'm going to try to fix some audio, by the way. Should be music going here, but not. Where is my... There we go. So, like I was saying, I would love to do some good things as far as the main character's art goes. And whenever I was thinking about it, I'm moving slow on it. And I think just the gap between now and last stream, I have a better idea of what I want to do with the lead character's design. It was kind of just aimlessly working on it, and now I think I've got a cool ballpark idea of what I want to do with the main character Val for it. So, without further ado, we are going to kick off this stream and begin making some pretty pictures for you guys. So, here. I'll switch to my drawing screen. Also, I want to say, if you're enjoying the art, fantastic. But if you also like 32-bit games, check me out on Tuesday, Thursday nights. That's when I do my kind of gaming stream and take her easy. And right now we're playing through a game called Hell Night, which is a really spooky, scary little horror game that so far has been really, really effective. It's like set in this Tokyo underground. Your main character is trying to, make their way out of it after a big earthquake. But there's a cult within there, and it's really spooky and scary so far. Yes, this is where we left off for Val. One of the things I want to do with her is have her be kind of very athletic. So she's got both athletic wear as well as, going with the cyberpunk vibes. She's got a Letterman jacket for the 80s. I'm playing around with that concept. But when I was thinking about it, I think I have an even cooler inspo I can work from. And why waste time? Let's just go ahead and rock the character sheet forward. Let's do our character sheet for Val and see if we can't get to some 3D modeling at some point this week. This is a prototype after all. It doesn't have to be perfect. And one of the things is, I was going to tell you guys, there is and I'll link it in chat, Humble Bundle is doing a big deal right now for this Unity asset collection that is for third-person/first-person games. And I went and picked it up because it'll be really good for quick prototyping of the character. What I'm doing off streams is I'm actually working on some coding stuff, because the goal is that I could use pre-existing Unity assets and then modify it for the game itself. And that's actually, man, let me tell you, our studio did that a lot, where we would use pre-existing art assets and make them, create our games from them, at least for the prototype. And then we afterwards would go through and make things a little more bespoke and appropriate for the title with which we were working on. But okay, clear out this here. here. Make sure that we can set this all up properly. I make this a little more horizontal, the screen itself, or screen itself. Yeah, thanks again for being here in Hard Drive 32. Always means a lot. Hope your morning's going good so far. Okay. Arrange things here. And we'll get some music going again. Kind of like my general background music, but there's always a lovely Spotify collection of DMCA free stuff. There we go. Guys. Awesome. Let's rock it. I'm just going to try to work as fast as I can, too. Yeah, I'll just find points to stop and talk about what I'm going to be doing, but see how much I can get done on the stream. That's the goal today. I want to try to work a little bit faster than I typically do. All my inspiration images here. The main girl to be a little bit stronger than most. Make sure I'm still on the screen. Hopefully you guys can see mine works. Mine's okay. I'm working through it.
In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves.
He's gonna have some hips. That's what it's looking like so far with the character. Try to work a little faster as well as messier. Yeah. By the way, check in chat. You're gonna see link to the asset bundle by what Humble Bundle has for Unity stuff. If you guys are wanting to work on any first-person or third-person prototype games, highly recommend starting from that, at least for the prototype phase. The other thing too is interesting is due to my work, working in industry and stuff, I've really come to recognize when people use Unity assets because I've seen I've not seen most of them. I've seen a lot of them, all the popular ones at least on the Unity asset store. It's wild to see like a trailer for, say, a Switch game or some other upcoming game and is using, I can tell which pre-bought assets it's using. like a level design or a monster or what have you. And usually for me, I hate to say it, it's usually a bit of a warning sign to me whenever I see a game using a lot of Unity assets. Last time I did a character, I did the arms kind of like, let me see if I can scoot back a bit. I T-posed them out like this instead of like that. I always wonder what the artist preference is for those two. Why certain artists do the T-pose like a literal T and the other ones do the arms at a 45-degree angle. I think I'm gonna keep my 45-degree angle though. I think it's just a good midway point. The thing is, how many heads tall we make her. That's one of the determinants whenever you're trying to figure out how tall your character is. How many heads tall they are. Check this out. See how tall our character is head-wise. Currently have 4 heads. She's what? 7? Be like 7 to 8 heads tall. So that's actually research, by the way, because like I can't remember. I think it's 5 heads tall is how tall a human is, because the head is about a foot. How many heads tall is a person? An average person is generally 7.5 heads tall, including the head. An ideal figure used when aiming for an impression of nobility or grace is drawn at 8 heads tall. Oh, guys, that's not too bad. She's about 8 heads tall. I accidentally nailed that. Just a for fun thing, I'm going to show you guys something. So, I don't know if you guys know the game Bayonetta. It's a fantastic game about this kind of like... well, actually, the description of it. It's about a witch who uses her body hair to fight monsters. It's so ridiculous to say out loud. But one of the common known facts is how incredibly bizarre the main character's body proportions are. And I just want to show you guys what I'm talking about. So just so you know that art is what we make it. We just Googled height and said that average human head height is 7 heads tall. So what you see here is the main design of Bayonetta. Let's count how many heads tall she is. Well, actually, you can see there, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11. So she's like 11 feet tall. I don't know if you guys know these other game characters here. Like there's Mario, there's Siegfried from Soul Calibur. But if you were to see Bayonetta, like if you were to look at Bayonetta like this, her character design looks perfectly fine. She looks tall and graceful, but you wouldn't think she is 11 foot tall, kind of like abnormal thing. So that's the thing is, if you could really play with proportions on a character, and things can still turn out a-okay and look normal to a person, unless you scrutinize it, and then you're like, what in the heck? All right, so I accidentally did okay with the head height. Wow, I feel so proud of myself. Okay. Now then, let's start playing with the proportions here. We're using Michelle Cayley on the right. Here's the basis. Wrong leg. And the thing about it is, this will be a 32-bit character at the end of the day, PlayStation 1 style. I don't have to necessarily like kill myself on making this, because it will be a simplified character. So we're just going to try to move quickly. Yeah, I'm really excited, by the way. I think I've got a pretty cool outfit idea in head. And I'm going to use that Unity asset pick to hopefully very quickly prototype this game. very excited about. And one thing I did learn, working on the Chainsaw Man especially, how important the front view is, because you can really quickly make the characters' textures if you have a good front view, because you can projection paint it. Don't have to go too crazy at this stage. It's really the clothing gonna sell it. And that's something I definitely could use to play around with in the future, is like my character portraits and kind of what I want to do with them. By the way, geez, man, if that's not photoshopped, that's crazy. I think it looks crazy, her waist, just because of the other proportions on her. It's funny how much of that's just like a bit of an optical illusion of sorts. Is when you've got muscles in the right places, you can really play with your how your body kind of like looks as far as perspective and shape goes. It's obvious. I mean, that's an obvious statement, but I mean, you look at a lady like Michelle Cayley. Even though she's very built, she looks super balanced. You know, it doesn't look like you see certain bodybuilders that they really want to emphasize just a certain muscle group. So like when you look at them, you can tell like, oh, they focus strictly on upper body strength. Gonna give her a little bit of back muscles there. Doesn't have much in the way of like muscles, so she's got little neck muscles. A little bit of muscle on her neck, but nothing too crazy. Got like pineapples for arms, man. That's so strong looking. We'll see. I'll definitely probably have to adjust these features when it's all said and done. Hands here. In about 30 minutes. I feel like I should be going even faster. This is the messy stage of a drawing. Always correct afterwards here. Good night. I hate drawing feet. Feet are the worst. One day I'll get there though. Not even worry about mirroring it. It's good practice anyways. Let's just have fun. Funny how certain sides of the human body have an easier time drawing than others. So legs. Have big, strong legs. A very, very thin waist, or it makes it appear like she has a thin waist. How freaking strong her back muscles are. going through and kind of changing up her proportions here a bit. Musculature on in. Get more apparent how strong she is. By the way, I've got a red light going on, this red LED to help color the stream. It makes me feel like I'm in a KFC or some sort of like kitchen as if I'm being cooked, because it's that perfect like UV light and color here. Maybe it's giving me a nice tan. Maybe the streaming will give me a tan, make it look like I'm going outside more than I do. Have ye? What have ye? I've got in my head a mental image of what I want to look like. Look at it. I can take that mental image out of my head and put it on paper. You're having long hair, and part of the combat thing is later in the game she'll, you know, head up to a sport pony. Do a close-up of her face and another sketch. I don't think I'm gonna be able to get a lot of detail in this one, but that's okay. We'll adjust eyes later. We'll adjust. Bottom lip is looking scary. I'm kind of wanting her to be Brazilian. Or her appearance to be. So I'll probably look up a Brazilian model for her facial features once we get to that stage. She's gonna have long black hair. That kind of, I can't wait to draw the back of it. Like I want her outfit and her hair are gonna play into each other. So right now, she's strong looking. Is she reading as a lady? I don't think so necessarily. So let's do some quick copy this layer here. Let's warp the portions here. Make her just a little more ladylike. And one thing is the shoulders here. I mean, be strong, but she doesn't need to. Let's do a different type. Let's do a quick puppet warp here. So adjust here. Same thing for hips and legs. Girls have a kind of like a thigh gap, and I should definitely bring her hips apart a bit more. Quickly. Think like
Been a long time, comrade.
another thing is,
Guy in the crash 2 years ago.
can I have a booty? We'll see a bit of booty. Like
Too quick. After all, you and I both know where we come from. What do you want?
pastry. Sure are some features. Now we're working fast, working messy. That's what we're gonna do. Let's go ahead and move on to the outfit I was looking for. Part of it was make sure this looks pretty sexy. I'm not like the best outfit design, that's for certain. One thing is, be like this, open, collar.
Almost let it slip. Enough talk. Die, comrade.
Do it. I don't know why, but I kind of think of her character design as like a manta ray. I know that sounds strange, but she's gonna have kind of like fully unique cyberpunk interpretation of a Letterman jacket. I want these lines to really guide the flow and the flow to follow her hair. They're kind of like Letterman jackets, they always have those stripes. I want those stripes to move with like her hair and her body and that kind of thing. And they transition to the back portion. hoping that the outfit also emphasizes her hip. That's the intention. And then on this part, 907. Making good time. Going faster and we're making good time. Okay. Get Letterman jackets here. Typically the arms are their own color, and that's fine. What would a fashion designer say? It is a deconstructed Letterman jacket. It is not strictly a Letterman jacket for which I am making. It cracks me up that I have to be kind of the illustrators. I mean, it's easy to forget how much an illustrator has to do, but they're like acting as fashion designers, especially when they're doing fancy stuff like this. Like for the design, and it explains why so many characters, by the way, have such bad outfits in games. Is like right now I'm having trouble doing this because it's like I myself am not a fashion designer. No, this is different for me, but worth it. Let's get rid of our model for a second so I can see the clothing here. Yeah, so I'm doing kind of like a Letterman jacket version of what she's got here in a lot of ways. And sports bra. Which should probably keep this kind of like V-neck it. That way we can keep the angular thing going that's at the bottom of the outfit. I guess fix this. Like that falls pretty low on her waist, like where her back bars. Go lower. Air lower. Okay. Okie dokie. I have fingerless. You have her boxing gloves on. Her MMA style gloves. They may be. know, it's funny is like at this stage, it's so early, it's hard to see the final picture in a lot of regards. I have an idea, then, or to cheapen that idea. Zoom in and see what kind of detail oh. Let's see what kind of detail I can put in here. I can put a pretty good amount of detail in there. I think I'm gonna change our image up a bit here. With the heads, that's the heads. 2 lines. This time, the detailed body. Bring Michelle Cayley back in here. Got more images of her too. I need to. One thing I might do for streams is I may move my inspiration stuff off this screen. To another screen just so I can focus more on my own drawings too. Definitely make sure I'm saving. Early. Some labels here. Face sketch. It's her fine face. There we go. Momentum, my friends. Don't see is off screen. I'm doing a quick adjustment on my inspo shots real quick here. Get some more too. There we go. Took me a while to find it. I rearranged some of my files, and that was a poise. Here we go. Okay. I need. Okay. Got what I need. Got what I need. Let's go back to this. Find base. Zoom in particular parts of her body. You see opacity of this here. To it. One thing that's interesting, like, I need to definitely differentiate between hip area, hips here. It is crazy how fit she is. I'm just seeing like some of her calf muscles and frick, man. Makes me want to go to the gym and like leg presses and get that strong. Like, one thing I noticed when I was going through and looking at the references, how much the thigh gap is. Probably just part of a feature of being like super fit like that. You need to dig that thigh gap there. Hey, thank you for the subscribe. Let me see who it was on my actual thing. Well, thank you, 101 Right Dragon. I appreciate it. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying the stream thus far. I want to work on some art stuff. This is like working on a 32-bit game project here. Main character for it. And do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings is the art streams, and then if you want to see me play 32-bit games, both indie and old one, or indie and classics, I do that Tuesday, Thursdays at night, around 9 p.m. Which right now I'm playing through Hell Knight, which is a horror game, and it's really weird and strange. It's like you're like making your way through this underground Tokyo tunnel, and it's really a lot of fun. Thank you for saying cool. I appreciate it a lot. Yeah. I kind of wanted there's two main characters, because you know how like the Resident Evil survival horrors, the classic ones, always have two leads, and like whether it's Leon or Claire or Chris and whoever. And so I thought it'd be cool if in this game the main lady of it is the Chris Redfield type, or the Bruce Willis. So she's gonna be the muscle of the group, while the other guy, he is kind of like Hunk from Resident Evil games. He's kind of like a secret agent, but he uses tech primarily to make his way through. So he's like not the brute force type. And work my way through here quickly to find these lines. Yeah, and her eventual look is she could be like Brazilian. On and off for a while, but I'd say honestly just for the past few months, like really taking it up. Before that, so I worked as an art director at a video game studio. Oh man, like 6 years ago now. And that's when I did the most amount of drawing. And I'm super out of practice. But even then, I was like hired to do graphic design. So primarily my thing was like UI work and stuff like that. So I am very much learning these past few months. Yeah. Do you do drawing yourself? Yeah, definitely as I go along, feedback is always appreciated. Yeah, and then the HardDrive32 Instagram has some of the art too. I would say what's funny is I'd say, well, HardDrive32 has like a good portion of my art, my personal Instagram of AVV, it's like A Vulcan but with two V's. That's got the vast majority of it, which includes a lot of me drawing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure characters. Cause I kind of like drawing muscles. Pretty fun to draw muscles. Which, man, I have the worst time drawing ladies in comparison to men. I think it's just because, like, with a dude, they're so blocky and they're almost like a jigsaw puzzle of pieces, and girls are so soft. So there's a lot of, like, swooping lines and hidden forms, and I don't know why I find it so much more difficult to draw a lady. It seems to be the opposite of a lot of internet people. But I think also, you know, a lot of people online, it's fun to draw a lady, so they're also well practiced at drawing ladies. Yeah, and kind of my goal right now is like, I got a nice Unity asset pack to hopefully be able to build out the prototype of the game. And I'm just gonna work through some of the basics here for the characters and insert 3D modeling, hopefully this week on her. That's the primary goal. We shall see, though. Oh, these abs. Abs cause me troubles. Yeah, I hope your morning is grand, by the way, also. Started doing these morning streams. Initially, I was like super ambitious, and I was like, I'm gonna do it at 5 a.m. And very quickly regretted waking up at 5 a.m. Oops. Do you do any digital drawing yourself? Yeah. Whoa. Oh, cool, man. Man, lady, whomever. That's great. It's a lot of fun. Right now, I'm like using Huion, or no, I'm using a Huawei digital screen tablet. But honestly, that's like a recent thing for me. Before then, I was using just one of those like Wacom pads, and it works great. I don't know if you're using like Wacom pad or like an iPad, or hopefully not a mouse. If you're using a mouse to draw, that's fine. I pray for your wrists, but I have a friend of mine. She's a graphic designer. She does a lot of drawing of her graphic design work using a mouse, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, how are you able to do that and still have working wrists? Tablet. Oh, cool, dude. Nice. Yeah, tablet's where it's at. Eventually your brain just, like, I switched to this screen, and it was actually kind of hard to switch from a tablet to this because I was so used to using a tablet over a screen. And you probably know how it is. It's just like your mind gets used to drawing on a tablet, and it, like, the translation to screen. It's funny how your brain can get around it. But oh, one moment here. And I back. Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I'm gonna be a stay-at-home dad, and like, I earned my keep through my day job is doing the freelance graphic design stuff, and that was actually my sitter dropping in to say little kiddo is asleep, which is really sweet. Sure, yeah. I might drop in. Let me the best resource I know of for, so if you want to do like the straight up fundamentals of like what you would say like traditional anatomy, is I would recommend, and you may have already been to this YouTube channel, but it is Proco. I'd say Proco. He has worked for Magic the Gathering. He's worked for Blizzard, but he has courses on doing the absolute fundamentals, and like in a very traditional way, like what you might think of as like an art education. And it's fantastic. Like all of his series and playlists that he has, I definitely recommend it. He has courses on every single bit of anatomy that there is. So he'll be like, there'll be a series just for hands. There'll be a series just for abs. And that's actually something I need to brush up on and watch those courses again. because they do help so much. And I would say like going through some of his exercises will help, and just kind of watching and learning like the basics of it. And I'm still learning. I'm not saying I'm nowhere near an expert. I'm learning too, but he's great for getting the anatomy down. And then would also recommended what's it called? Oh, Line of Action.
Attack ships on fire.
This website is also awesome. So Line of Action, I'd recommend to you. And what it is you can choose a subject matter, and then you can choose to do figure drawings. So you could be like, I just want to draw guys. I just want to draw kids. I just want to draw blah, blah, blah. And then what it'll do is it'll pop open reference drawings for you to do with a timer. And you can choose either do it like the same timer, so like 30 seconds per drawing, 5 minutes per drawing, or you could set it to class mode, and it'll be like, you'll do a few short 30-second drawings, and you'll do a few 5-minute drawings, and you'll do like an hour-long study. But that's an awesome way to get yourself warmed up, and then also give you a variety of subjects. And then on the emotional side of it, something I have to remind myself of, I would just say, your style is your style, and never get too frustrated, because it's just never-ending journey with drawing. There's so many people that I'm envious of style-wise. There's just so much good art, and it's really tough nowadays just because there's so much. Like if you're on Instagram or any of those social media things, and you're watching people produce all this really great art, and they're doing so quickly, or it looks to be quickly, because if you're following like 1,000 artists or 100 artists, whatever, and they're all updating their Instagram, then as you're scrolling through, you're like, oh my gosh, this person did this amazing thing, this person did this amazing thing, they're so quick, and why am I so slow? And it's just like, it's easy to get frustrated with so much art out there. But just never get too frustrated with yourself, and always think of your art as not one of 1,000, but like one of 1,000. So you're never doing just one drawing and that's it. You've done it. You've made the one drawing, that one perfect drawing. You're gonna be doing 1,000 drawings, and so feel free to experiment, and know that with time you'll just keep improving. Like that hand I messed up. Ooh, there's some really weird proportions going on here. Okay, so for example, for me, I need to really quickly, let's see if we can't do it with both arms here. My elbows are in the wrong place. You think about fingertips. Oh, you're welcome. Fingertips typically rest on your thighs, and so the way where I put these things, it's not in a great. The elbow needs to go down a little bit more. I'm using just the warp tool for some quick adjustments. Lol. And then other kind of helpful resource I might recommend to you, depending on how like good you are with your program side of things, like with Adobe Photoshop and those kind of things, you can do, of course, like YouTube that always has like tons of tutorials on those kind of things. But something kind of cool is through ye local library. Most people don't know this, but your local library gives anybody with a library card free access to Udemy and it was called lynda.com, but LinkedIn Learning. So if you ever want like high-end tutorials that cost money, just go to your local library's website, and there's usually a section called like education or learn online, and they give you free access to all of these different pay for services. And that's actually how a lot of my designer friends, and that's how I learned like Photoshop and the like, was I just used my local library's number to access it. So now then, all right, let's see here. I'm gonna find me a Brazilian model for this facial reference here. and I'm searching these off screen. Just, you never know with Google. Gonna keep my Google results safe here while I'm looking things up. And the resolution of my drawing is pretty small to where I don't know how much detail I'll be able to pack in this face. I'll probably do a larger pull out of her face. Because right now what I'm working on is a character model sheet. It's something just to bring into Blender, and I'll use it to the basics of the character model. Oh, she's cool looking. Okay. Bruna Lirio. Bruna Lirio. Save my inspo. I'll probably drop it onto the Photoshop documents as well. These images. My internet, for whatever reason, is lagging. Oh, I would honestly say, so as far as with, I think Photoshop would be the biggie right now. But the thing is, honestly, I myself want to switch to Clip Studio, and I see a lot of artists are switching to Clip Studio, both Clip Paint Studio and what's the other big one? Procreate. I see Procreate and Clip Paint Studio becoming more and more popular. The only reason why you may want to get a little bit of Photoshop under your belt is sometimes you have to do unique file management to where, so for example, I'll show you on my screen. So you see how in the bottom right corner here, I have the channels. So RGB, and let me put some colors on screen. Like, let me put some legit RGB colors on. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Or I know what I'll do. I'll turn on one of my inspo images. The reason why video game studios use Photoshop is you can use these channels to do unique things in their game. So, for example, we'll pop in this image right here. Come on, thing. Okay. This is the first time I'll probably use for the face model. But you have the red, green, and blue channels, which correspond to red, green, and blue. But let's say I clicked on just red. What it does is, you see how it became black and white? That's isolating just what you're looking at here is just the red color information. I click on green, that is just the green's color information. And the way computers actually work is, well, most people know that like computer code is all 0 and 1. And the way colors are interpreted in a computer is 0 is black, 1 is white, or another way to think about it, if there's a green channel, 0 is like a super dark green, 1 is a really, really bright green. And then how those all get multiplied together is what makes your final color. So, for example, when I have just the red here, visible, and then I click green, it is multiplying red and green. It's getting this odd yellow, and then when I multiply it with a blue, you get the full RGB color range. Where that becomes useful is you can use programming to make the visuals of a game only affect, say, the blue channel or the alpha channel. So alpha is, and you probably already know this, but alpha is transparency, like what you can't see. For example, if I take this and if I erase part of this image and I make it transparent, when we go over, we now have, it says download mask, but what it is it's the alpha mask. It's like what's visible and what's not visible. And I'll give you a great example. In one of our games, we wanted it to where whenever it snowed on the ground, we wanted the texture to accumulate with snow over time. So what we did was we had all of our textures on our level, and we said to the program, hey, whatever's on the alpha channel of the image, make that the snow layer of what snow is visible, and change that the appearance of that alpha channel over time. And that's something you can do. You might be able to do it in Clip Paint Studio, but that's why a lot of artists learn Photoshop for game stuff, is there's a lot of really cool behind the scenes things you can do to images that really help programmers to do things visually too, or technical artists to do things. And so that's why they do a lot of that. Now, for concept art, sure, what the hell, just do whatever you're comfortable in. And honestly, you could probably bring that final image over to Photoshop and go from there. So yeah, it is useful to know Photoshop. I want to switch to those other programs like Clip Paint Studio because dang, they look amazing, and darn, I think they're a lot better than Photoshop when it comes to drawing. So I completely understand any artist using Clip Paint Studio to draw, because woof drawing and Photoshop is not fantastic, as you probably know, and cheap. Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. Oh man, the subscription model for Photoshop is so crazy. Yeah, I love that you can just get a permanent license. You can just buy one copy of it and then boom, you're done. And it is like fantastic. It's better than Photoshop. It's something whenever I get a bit of time, what I'll do is I'll probably just, not use Photoshop for a week and force myself to use Clip Paint Studio and do all the tutorials to get myself feeling really, really good about it. Which, if you have any recommendations for any cool tutorials for Clip Paint Studio, do tell, man. It seems pretty similar to Photoshop in a lot of regards, which is nice. But it is different. Whenever I tinkered around with it, it's still different here and there. What kind of stuff do you draw, by the way? Here's oh, fantastic. Okay, so you made the switch. You did it. That's great. Oh, that's awesome to know. I can't wait to switch over to it then. Yeah, things like the auto color or the line smoothing, or just like the brushes that are accessible in Clip Paint Studio are fantastic. Hey, thanks, man. Big thanks to. Cool. Oh, cool. Nice. Quirks explained for Photoshop users. I love it. Yeah, White Dragon just linked me a fantastic thing specifically for us people stuck in the world of Photoshop and how to adjust. Yeah, I've seen lots of neat little videos on their features. I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's so useful. And I don't know if it'll function better as far as like performance goes. But Photoshop on the bigger files can get really, really chugging. I need to tilt this whole head. Whole head's off. Let's go here. Before I keep drawing on it. Go. Woo! That's a steal. Buying Clip Paint Studio for 25 bucks. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'll have to, you know what? I bet if I watch coming up Cyber Monday, I will pick it up then. Because I bet they'll do some sort of Cyber Monday deal. Oh. I can ignore that call. I'll probably have to call him back here soon. Usually I don't get this amount of time to draw. It's been fantastic to be able to do so, though. Got a unique nose, kind of dig it. Yeah, and I'd say also, depending on what you want to draw in life, the easiest route to get into art for games is environment art, because that is the field that it's the least glamorous field. It's something I dread too, is drawing and environment stuff. I don't know what I'm gonna do whenever it comes time to draw some environment stuff for the game. That's gonna be a feat to accomplish. But the game industry is always starved of environment artists. Just not very common to find environment artists. Or if you have other specialties like monster design or ship design, those are also really in high demand. Like people who specialize, they're usually ones who do really, really well finding an occupation and stuff. I will say a nice thing too is like, it's at least a field too where all of the art training and practice adds up in a lot of regards. So even if somebody doesn't work in game design, you could work in, you know, concept art for video games, or even like design work, or lots of other cool fields that it could be applied towards, which is awesome. Because art is art at the end of the day, and kind of it's almost like the thought process behind working on art that matters more. It's almost like, you know, everyone's always learning, everyone's always getting better, but if you have really smart about your designs, then that's what matters a lot to studios. Because they're always looking for artists that will, you know, like take into account what their programmers need, for example. that was actually one of the most fun things is working with programmers, because their brains, I love them because they're just so, and maybe it's because of my design background, they are very function focused, and it was really, really nice to work with them because they were always so focused on kind of like player experience as well as like how things worked. Because for them, it's like the puzzle of making things work as best as they can, and then it's up to us artists to make their creations look great. And that matters to a lot of them too, because a lot of them are gamers of the end of the day too. Though one thing I will say that you'll encounter, I hate to say it, but I'm going to, is there's a lot of animosity between artists and programmers. It's really silly. I never got it. And I was, I became friends with all my programmers as well. But whenever I was initially on there, they just don't, they can be very, the new programmers can be very reticent of artists, as they kind of like view them as in their way to accomplish goals, because they're like, oh, they just want to make pretty pictures. They don't have the analytical mind to think about what goes into a program. And so they're just going to hurt my programming, or whatever my bit of code is, or whatever project I'm working on. But, with working with them with time, or if you're working with a seasoned programmer, any one of them realize that artists at the end of the day, a lot of them anyways, are just as concerned with how it runs as well. They want to work with you to make the game run as well as the programmers do. Yeah, but it was strange. It was really strange. I didn't expect that. I'm generally a really positive guy, and that was one of the things I first encountered. Was like, oh my gosh, why don't they like us artists? What'd I do wrong? And it's just the way some designers can be. Doesn't mean an artist or anybody did anything wrong. It's just when programmers are super duper focused on, they're really focused on making the best end product or game, and when they first meet artists, they're a little worried that their concern isn't how the game runs. Yeah, my goal is the beginning of the game, she's going to have this long hair, and oh my lord, to your point, I'm trying to teach myself programming and it's going okay. I'm using Udemy through my local library to teach myself Python and C#. I actually did online. I taught kids, elementary school kids, between the ages of 4th grade through 12th grade, Unity. And that's like where primarily my knowledge for game stuff is in Unity. So let me tell you, Unreal Engine is great, and one day I might switch to it. But for now, I'm using Unity. And so I had to teach these kids how to program, and teach myself in a lot of ways how to program. And boy, just one little mistake is enough to ruin anything. And it's just a simple thing of, oh, you forgot to capitalize this. And you think about poor programmers who literally, a file with 40,000 lines of code, and they have to find a single misspelled letter or word. It's it could be, I'm sure, pretty stressful on them. He's coming down. Then here's the base outfit work. Kind of the idea I'm going to go with for the outfit is doing something that's like a mix of a Letterman jacket plus something a little bit more techwear-y. Those could be like techwear mixed with Letterman jacket, because the main character, she does a lot of MMA type stuff, and yeah, I just wanted her to potentially have some physical attacks and moves and things like that. And so her background is in a lot of MMA stuff. But it's gonna be really cool when it's all said and done. Let's see here. I think for the day I may have to wrap up and move on to the day-to-day work stuff, which is far less fun than drawing and talking with people. But thank you again for being here. Shout out to you, 101 White Dragon. Hope you do some really cool, awesome drawing stuff in the meantime. And I'd say Tuesday, Thursday night at 9 p.m. CST is where I play 32-bit games. And there's always on my YouTube channel the full archive, because, you know, Twitch gets rid of things after a few days. So feel free to go back and check things out there if you guys liked what you saw today. And I'll be back on Wednesday with more art and Friday with more art. Same time, aiming for 8:30, 8:45. Just depends on when I can get back in the door and set up. But thanks again, you guys. You have a great one. See you. Ciao.